Welcome to the 2022 Norman A. Sugarman Award ceremony. I'm Felton Thomas Jr., Executive Director and CEO of Cleveland Public Library. The Norman A. Sugarman Award is a national prize that recognizes writers and illustrators who create outstanding and new biographical nonfiction for children. These books create an opportunity for children to connect with their culture, spark discovery, and encourage a love of reading. They allow them to explore the stories about their community and the world. This year's winner and honor books truly captured the essence of what this award represents, the children's biographies and the Cleveland Public Library. The authors and illustrators were chosen by a select group of librarians and educators who poured through countless submissions to find the best of the best. Now please welcome Anisha Jeffries, Youth Services Manager at Cleveland Public Library and Chair of the Norman A. Sugarman Award.
Thank you, Director Thomas. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Norman A. Sugarman ceremony. The Norman A. Sugarman Award was founded in 1998 by Joan G. Sugarman, who was a librarian, educator, and lover of books. This year, we have 4 honor winners and 1 winner. These books capture the essence mandated by the Sugarman Award criteria: a new biography for children in grades K through 8. Biographies are based on original research and documentation. Nominations for the award are solicited through publishers, libraries, schools, from children and adults, and submitted by an award committee. This award committee is appointed by the Cleveland Public Library and evaluates the nominations and selects a winner. Children often dream about dancing and singing on stage from an early age, a dream of letting their light shine for the world to see. Unfortunately, there was a time when not everyone was afforded that opportunity. Our first honoree shared an inspiring story about pushing through adversity to let your light shine.
Nina, a story of Nina Simone, by Traci and Todd, illustrated by Christian Robinson. Published by J.P. Putnam's Sons Books for Young Readers, an imprint of Penguin Random House. This biography shares an illuminating story of Unique Wayman, who grew up to become Nina Simone, and shares her bold, defiant, and exultant legacy with the new generation.
Hello, and thank you so much to the Sugarman Committee and to the Cleveland Public Library for recognizing Nina, a story of Nina Simone, in this way. I greatly appreciate it. This book was a labor of love, and I know, as the daughter of a public school librarian in the Chicago public school system, that what you do as librarians is also a labor of love. So thank you so much for encouraging children's imaginations, for encouraging their questioning, and for keeping the pathways to greater understanding open. As Nina might say, that's where it's at. Thank you so much.
Hello, and thank you to the Cleveland Public Library Norman A. Sugarman Children's Book Biography honor for Nina, a story of Nina Simone. Working on this book was a labor of love and also survival. I was illustrating this book during the summer of 2020. A lot was going on that summer, the pandemic, but also a conversation around Black Lives Matter and a lot of civil unrest in the country. It was Nina's spirit that kind of got me through that time, seeing how she was able to channel her pain into her work, but also just seeing that thread of the fight that she fought for social justice and the one that we still have today. So thank you to the spirit of Nina, of course, and thank you to the author, Traci Todd, who told this story in such an honest and unsanitized way, yet also just very accessible to young readers. It means a lot to me that this honor will also just shed more light on this book and hopefully get it in the hands of more young people and who will get to learn about Nina. So yeah, again, it was just an honor to be a part of this whole thing, and I'm honored by the honor. So yes, thank you.
Sticking up for yourself can be scary for an adult, let alone a child, especially when you don't feel like you have the power to speak up. Sometimes those are the times we need to speak the loudest. Sharing stories of heroes who speak up is a great way to teach children about standing up for their rights, like this story from our second honoree.
Lizzie Demands a Seat by Beth Anderson, illustrated by E.B. Lewis, published by Calkins Creek, an imprint of Astra Books for young readers. In 1854, Elizabeth Lizzie Jennings, an African-American schoolteacher, fought back when she was unjustly denied entry to a New York City streetcar, sparking the beginnings of the long struggle to gain equal rights on public transportation.
Hi, I'm Beth Anderson, author of Lizzie Demands a Seat. Elizabeth Jennings fights for streetcar rights. It's such a tremendous honor to have this book selected for a Norman A. Sugarman Children's Biography Honor Award. Immense thanks to the committee and to the Cleveland Public Library. This story affected me deeply as I wrote, and it took a long time to get it right. I learned so much from Elizabeth Jennings' story, about writing and about history. This woman from the past grabbed my heart and broadened my world. My hope is that her story will do the same for young readers, that it will give them courage, and that it will inspire change through seeing that we all have a role to play in establishing social justice. I'm so grateful for all the people that made this book possible. Stephanie Fretwell Hill at Red Fox Literary, editor Carolyn Yoder and the team at Calkins Creek, and to the phenomenal E.B. Lewis, whose art brought the text to life and the story straight to the heart. Thank you for recognizing the power and importance of this story for children today.
Thinking of others is a value we teach children. It teaches them selflessness, compassion, and belonging to a community. And sometimes you have to go to great lengths to make sure your community has the resources they need, like this next story from our third honoree.
The Water Lady, How Darlene Arviso Helps a Thirsty Navajo Nation, by Alice McGinty, illustrated by Shonto Begay, published by Schwartz and Wade Books, an imprint of Penguin Random House. This inspiring picture book tells the true story of a woman who brings desperately needed water to families on the Navajo reservation every day.
Hi, my name is Alice McGinty, and I'm the author of The Water Lady, How Darlene Arviso Helps a Thirsty Navajo Nation. Thank you to the Cleveland Public Library and the Norman A. Sugarman Children's Biography Award for naming The Water Lady as an honor book. It truly is an honor. When I heard a news interview with Darlene Arviso, I knew her story was an important one, and I knew I wanted to tell it. She was delivering water to many, many hundreds of very thirsty people on the Navajo Nation, people who had no running water. She was not only doing that, but she was the center of her community. I look at her like a humble hero. She brought wood to people who needed wood. She shared stories. She made sure everyone was doing all right. Sometimes she was the only one that someone would see during the day. I went down to Thoreau, New Mexico, and I rode with Darlene on her route. I was amazed with the land and its positive and negative features. It's breathtakingly gorgeous, but it's also really harsh. It's so dry that the desert winds and the dryness in the air will clog your nose with dust and clog your throat. It's really cold during the night, and very, very blazingly hot during the days. Yet, despite the difficulties, I saw something beautiful there. Darlene was bringing a community together. They were pulling together despite the harshness, and I wanted to share that in The Water Lady. What I'd like to do is share with you right now some video and pictures that I took during the trip, part of a book trailer. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I was able to go back and visit again in 2021. It was great to see Darlene, and I talked with her and the staff at the St. Bonaventure Mission, who funds the water delivery program. Sadly, they have tried quite a few times to dig wells with a company called Dig Deep, and those efforts have not worked out so far. Not only is there very little water, but the water that's there is polluted by uranium mining, and so it's really hard to find clean, unpolluted, safe water to drink. They are digging underground tanks and being able to provide families with more water so that they don't need refilling as often. And there are now 3 trucks on the water delivery route. So in that way, they're growing and meeting the community's needs, but there's still a lot to be done. Thank you to your award and your program, because I feel that this will help the book reach more people and reach more of the children. Again, to the Cleveland Library and the Norman A. Sugarman Children's Biography Award on behalf of Darlene Arviso, the St. Bonaventure Mission staff, the people on the Navajo Reservation, along with the publisher of the book, Schwartz and Wade, and Shonto Begay, whose amazing illustrations brought the book to life. Thank you, everyone, and be well.
Everyone wants a place to call home. Sometimes the place we call home can change. and we need proof that we are safe and loved. The next honoree's story shares that even animals need time to adjust to a new home. Here's a story from our fourth honoree.
The Elephants Come Home, a true story of 7 elephants, 2 people, and 1 extraordinary friendship. By Kim Tomsic, illustrated by Hadley Hooper, and published by Chronicle Books. This is the amazing true story of a herd of elephants, the man who saved them, and the miracle of love that brought them home.
Hello, I'm Kim Tomsic, and this is
Hadley Hooper. Hi.
Hi. We are here together to thank you guys for honoring the Elephants Come Home with the Norman A. Sugarman Honor. Thank you so much. I wrote a few notes down because I didn't want to forget to say anything. So first of all, thank you for this very distinguished honor. We are so grateful for it, and we're especially excited for the additional attention an honor like this brings to nonfiction and brings to the magic that is science and the unexplained parts of science that we can't quite put our fingers on. We love the attention that it brings to animals and our relationship with the animal world, and we're really grateful for the attention this award brings to eco-warriors out there, especially in Zululand, South Africa, at the Wildlife Reserve Tula Tula, Lawrence Anthony, and Francoise Malby Anthony. So thank you so much. And I'm sure Hadley, you have some stuff to say.
I do. Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for this award. It really means a lot. I want to tell you that when I first got the manuscript and I read it, I cried. And if you read it, you know what I'm talking about, where it happens in the story. And then I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about Lawrence and Francois and the elephants and Tula Tula. I'm so grateful to Kim, who found the story, researched the story, incredible research, and wrote the story in such a beautiful way. I want to thank Melissa Manlove, who was our editor on this, and Chronicle Books. Yay, Chronicle Books, so many awesome titles. And finally, I want to just take such a sweet opportunity to thank you guys, librarians. You're the keepers of the flame. You wear so many different hats. And we're in awe of you, and it means all that much more coming from you guys. So thank you very much.
Hadley, thank you again for the gorgeous, gorgeous art that you brought to this story to bring out the emotional heart of it. I really appreciate all the research you did and how you honored nonfiction, wanting to know the biome, wanting to know everything about Tula Tula to get the story right. I also want to thank Chronicle Books and Melissa Manlove. You guys really invested in making sure that this story got as many pages as it needed, and just appreciate that so much. Thank you, Cleveland Public Library, for the Norman A. Sugarman Honor.
Expressing feelings can be difficult for some children. There are many ways to share our feelings, experiences, and stories. For some, that comes in the form of writing poetry. And this year's Norman A. Sugarman Award winner shares a story about how poetry can inspire children and gives them an outlet for expression. Please help us welcome our 2022 Norman A. Sugarman Award winner.
Exquisite, the poetry and life of Gwendolyn Brooks. Authored by Suzanne Slade. Illustrated by Cozbi A. Cabrera. Published by Abrams Books. Exquisite, the poetry and life of Gwendolyn Brooks is a story about the first Black person to win a Pulitzer Prize. Brooks received the prestigious award for poetry in 1950. Slade, in Cabrera's inspirational picture book, Biography, showcases the power of language. Exquisite tells Brooks' life story from childhood and adulthood and her desire to write poetry amid race, gender, and the poverty of the Great Depression.
I am Suzanne Slade, the author of Exquisite, the poetry and life of Gwendolyn Brooks, and I am just so thrilled that our book was given your prestigious Norman A. Sugarman Children's Biography Award. I know there are many wonderful biographies for children out on the market, so that just makes it that much more special that you would recognize our book. And I wanted to especially thank the hardworking committee. I can't even imagine the time and energy it took to go through all the wonderful biographies and select a winner, so thank you. And also, I want to offer my congratulations to the 4 honor books. They are wonderful, wonderful titles for children, and thank you for creating those beautiful books. And I just want to let you know that the support by the committee and of this award for our book, Exquisite, means a lot, because as an author, when you are researching and writing, you're beginning a new book, like when I started Exquisite, you face a lot of obstacles, which I did with this book. The research to get access to some of Gwendolyn's original poetry journals and other things took a lot of time and effort. And so as you're on this writer journey, you never know what's going to happen. I had months and months of revisions as I tried to hone this story and hopefully share the essence of Gwendolyn's exquisite life. And then I began the submissions, and I didn't know, would a publisher find this writing worthy? Would it ever get published? Fortunately, it did. And then began the illustrator journey of Cozbi A. Cabrera, who did, I can't even put into words, the most incredible job on this book. I know firsthand the long hours Cozbi spent doing research out in the field in Bronzeville, and her work shows it is just so gorgeous. So I'm just so pleased that she is part of this exciting award with me. And I'm also thrilled that your award, it shines a brighter light on Gwendolyn's amazing life, her incredible poetry, and I hope that it inspires young readers. Not only will they be inspired by Gwendolyn's the words in her wonderful poetry, but they will be inspired to pursue their dreams like Gwendolyn did when she faced obstacles when she was trying to get published with her poetry. And they will see her dedication, and it will inspire young readers to pursue their dreams too. So thank you so very much, Cleveland Public Library and the Sugarman Committee, for bestowing such a wonderful honor on Exquisite. I am just thrilled and so honored. Thank you so much.
What an honor for Suzanne Slade and I to win a Sugarman, the only award of its kind in the entire nation that honors biographies written for children. In the case of Exquisite, I was given a manuscript just brimming over with beautiful prose. And I felt it was just the perfect opportunity, because I'd heard of Gwendolyn Brooks growing up. Some of her sonnets, her earlier work, had made their way into my parochial textbooks. And I read and I reread them. And I had decided at a very early age that I loved her and admired her. And so when the manuscript came to me, it was just a perfect opportunity to take a moment to learn more about her and to whet my curiosity about the context for her work and her life and person. And so going to the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana Rare Book and Manuscript Library and looking through her materials to be able to touch the things that she touched, whether it was some onion skin paper that had made its way through her manual typewriter, or her bound and spiral rounded cornered notebooks, with things written in her own hand, her observations, her thoughts, her musings, bits of things that she was constructing, to actually be able to touch these things, and like even some of the volumes of her that she might have been reading at bedtime, for example. I imagined that some of those books were on her nightstand. I imagined also that there might have been a box of tissues there, right by her side. And as she was drifting off and closing her eyes, I could imagine her plucking one of those clean tissues and inserting them into the one of her books. So as a place marker, as a bookmark, because the curator thought enough to leave those things intact in those volumes. And so, answering the question, like, who was she? Who was she? And learning that she was loved and that she loved, that her mother and her father and her younger brother Raymond and her aunts Beulah and Gertrude and Eppie and Ella, that she was surrounded by love and that she grew up in a very loving environment. And an environment that was full and reverberating with words. Her dad would read at night, poetry, as Suzanne said, passionate and proud, and that was just music to her ears. And we know that her mother was generous to speak a word over her daughter's life, to notice that she had a gift and to encourage that gift and to give her, time to write. And we know that she started at a very young age, as most children do, oddly enough. There is something, or peculiarity, a wiring that oftentimes shows up really, really early, and it's for the adults in that surround to notice that and to encourage those things. And so that's why I say thank you. Thank you to the Cleveland Public Library for knowing enough to make a way in this way for our children. And thank you to the selection committee for choosing a book such as Exquisite. Gwendolyn didn't necessarily feel as a child that she fit in, and I know I didn't feel that way either. But what is it for a child to pick up a book and to see his or herself or his or her potentiality reflected, in that? It's a gift. It's a big thing. So I say thank you. Thank you for these big things, Cleveland Public Library and Selection Committee. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Sugarman. I'm the fourth of the 5 Sugarman kids that Joan and Norman had, and I live here in Vermont.
And I'm Lawrence Sugarman. I'm the baby, the 5th kid of Norman and Joan Sugarman, and I'm talking to you from my office at Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York.
And we're so happy to have this opportunity to talk to you virtually. We love this award and in the past went to it in person. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. I wanted to make sure you knew how important the Cleveland Public Library was to our mom, Joan Sugarman. She spent a lot of time there as she related to us and read a lot of books, and it was a sanctuary for her. So I love that she honored the library with this award.
And from my earliest memories are our mom reading to Nancy and Elaine and me at bedtime, and the importance of books and decoding those words and the meaning, and our mother encouraging all of us to write and value literature. That was so books and libraries were, I'll use Nancy's word, were sacred in our family.
Also, Mom found biographies and autobiographies and memoirs in the children's department very important to her, to give her a perspective on other families and other children and how their lives were. That was critical to her. And I love that the Cleveland Public Library quoted her by using the phrase worthy of emulation. That was a very high standard my mother set. Not that any of us really can meet it, but we love that the goal was to read about and learn about someone who you could aspire to be like.
Right. And among those people, our mother wanted to make sure we understood that our father came a long way in his life to be worthy of emulation, to be active in the city of Cleveland and the life of the city of Cleveland and charitable organizations and enabling people to achieve more, enabling people to be healthy or enabling people to get an education. So it seems fitting that this award for biography to instill possibilities in children was named after her husband and our father.
And one thing he did that I especially admire is that when my mom was running around taking care of 5 children, I think I was in elementary school or middle school, he supported her to go back to college and get her graduate degree to become a librarian, which was her life dream. So she did work in libraries after that.
Yeah.
And that was very important to her. As soon as I heard about the book awards and with the books that were chosen, I went to my local library and got them all out and made sure the library knew they were all award-winning books. And I really enjoyed reading them and so appreciated both the authors and the illustrators that were picked this year. Thank you so much.
So we appreciate that all of you folks at the Cleveland Public Library keep this going. And we so look forward to being there in person, hopefully in 2 years.
Thank you again.
Ashley Bryant, the celebrated children's book author and illustrator, who introduced generations of young readers to Black characters and African folktales, died February 4th. He was 98. Ashley not only was an icon in his field, but also a friend of the Cleveland Public Library. He helped the library launch the On the Road to Reading Van in 2007. He visited a host of Cleveland schools and neighborhood branches. He was the recipient of many national awards. He wrote over 70 books in his lifetime, and he was also the winner of 2 Norman A. Sugarman Award-winning titles. One in 2010, Words to My Life Song, and in 2020, Infinite Hope, A Black Artist's Journey from World War II to Peace.
Thank you to the Norman A. Sugarman Award for Nonfiction for my Infinite Hope story. It was a wonderful thing to be recognized for a very difficult story to tell of my life in World War II, and combine with it my love of art and of writing, all of which is put together in a book which was hoped to be for readers of all ages. So thank you for the Norman A. Sugarman Award, which will extend the readership of my Infinite Hope.
Ashley was a storyteller who also built hand puppets and constructed paper collages and cut linoleum black prints. He was a dear friend who always loved to talk about books and reading, and even in his later days, he continued to be upbeat and always positive with a kind word. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing your talents and gifts with the world. In closing, we would like to thank the Sugarman family, Dr. Lawrence Sugarman, Nancy Sugarman, and Joel Sugarman. Our selection committee, Erica Marks, Lan Gao, Joanna Rivera, Peter Roth, Charles Ellenbogen, and Rhonda Crowder. And the winners of the Norman A. Sugarman Award for 2022. Please check out one of these great stories and help a child fall in love with the world around them. We look forward to seeing everyone in 2024 when we celebrate again the Norman A. Sugarman Award.